let's get right to it. This movie sucked. It's a shockingly bad, professionally made piece of garbage. Let's talk about it. So The Circle is based off of a book of the same name. It stars Emma Watson as May, a girl working a totally normal job at a cubicle who gets the opportunity of a lifetime to work for a company called The Circle. In this world, The Circle is kind of like if you merged Facebook, Google, and Apple all into one. And as she starts to work there, she starts to grow a little bit in popularity. But at the same time, like the cult-like nature of the culture starts to become a little bit worrisome to some of the people around her. And as the movie progresses, as she gets more plugged in, the cult-like behavior, the stakes, and everything starts to rise, and thus we are given a totally bad movie. It touches on so many relevant things, so many timely things, that you can see so much potential in where they were going with this, that the final execution and how heavy-handed, how obvious, everything about it is so poorly done, so poorly told, that I was just watching it like angry, like shaking my head. And I'd seen before I went in that its Rotten Tomatoes score is sitting at like around 16, 17%. So I went in knowing a lot of people were kind of negative on it. Also, my wife had just read the book and she hated it. So I went in expecting it to be pretty bad. And it starts off in the first third of it. I was like, all right, not great, but I'm not hating this. Like, I'm not quite sure where's this going that they're going to hate it. And then it starts getting a little bit more heavy-handed in some of this discussion about the dangers of technology and social media and privacy and knowledge and information, and the ideas of the movie start to come out a little bit more. And I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then, like, every scene that progresses from about a third of the way through until the end just gets worse and worse and worse. And what it builds is less enjoyable and just more infuriating. And it felt like the movie was insulting my intelligence, when in reality it seems like the author of the book, I don't know if it's the author of the book, the writer of the screenplay, these actors or the director are just so out of touch with people and where they're at. But this is a very bad movie. So let's talk about the good about this bad movie. Right off the bat, of course, Tom Hanks, Emma Watson, and John Boyega just have a certain electricity to them, a certain charisma that you like seeing them on screen, and of course that's present here. Likewise, Bill Paxton is in it, what might be his last film appearance, and gives a great performance in it. And so, of course, the performances from these actors are all very good, and that they're likable to see on screen. The second thing that I liked about the movie is there's the way they visualize social media, and where there's people kind of doing things that are being streamed to the internet or that involve the social network of all of this. You can see kind of reactions on the screen, and the way it all plays out is visually quite good. And I really like the look of the way this is visualized in the film. That's all. That's it. That's all the good I'm going to say about this movie. So let's move on to the bad, and that's everything else about it. At the center problem of this movie is that there's no actual clear villain, and there's no clear message to it, and it's touching on all these themes of privacy and who has a right to knowledge, and it doesn't know what to do with that. It doesn't know what to say about it. And so we go along for this ride as this girl gets sucked into this world of social media and sharing your life and sharing information. And seems to be making statements about how everyone doesn't need to know everything. We don't need to share everything. But the way it is structured in the story is we feel uncomfortable very early on with the way things unfold, and where she goes to a meeting and discovers that they've done something to her medically, like they're already learning information about her, and they kind of tricked her into ingesting something. It's not a major plot point, but it's something that kind of happens. And like things keep happening where to any normal person, you see it, you hear it, and you go, that's not good. That's not okay. They are crossing lines. But our lead character is kind of oblivious, goes along with it, or doesn't seem to be bothered by it. But the reason that we feel uncomfortable as an audience as it happens is because we already know there are boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. Privacy is not inherently bad. We know that not everyone having all knowledge isn't inherently a good thing. We know that all privacy isn't so that we can do bad things. We know all of this as we're watching the movie. So when we see those lines crossed and violated, we feel uncomfortable. And that's the tension that exists in the movie, but not in a way that it's supposed to, as if because the story's not constructed well enough. The characters aren't constructed well enough. It evokes the correct emotion from us, but it happens because our lead character is so clueless, so stupid, so out of touch with reality that she seems to think that all of this is normal, which kind of leads to the other biggest problem with it, where the message of it is kind of confused. We've already learned it because we're not stupid. We know privacy's not all evil. We know all secrets aren't bad. We know everyone shouldn't know everything. 100% transparency isn't actually a good thing if you have any sort of basic understanding of the world. If you're not just kind of the simplistic, idealistic imbecile, you know that all privacy is not bad. And there's statements in the movie that, do we do bad things when people see it or when they don't see it? See? Having secrets makes us do bad things. No, that's so simplistic and silly and easily refuted that it's a dumb argument. But those are the sorts of arguments that are in this movie that make no sense throughout the whole thing. But the key problem is that our lead character, Emma Watson, the movie can't decide if she's a good guy, a bad guy, confused, being misled. So as you go throughout the movie, and she takes steps and steps further into this world of the circle. I don't know if I've said the ring in it. I think I might have said that. But as she grows further into this world of the circle, the problem that we keep seeing throughout the movie is that in one scene, it'll show her like fully embracing this world, having fun in it. The next scene shows her seeming to struggle with her world of being involved in all of this and uncomfortable with some of the ramifications of it and apologetic for things that happen. The next scene she goes into a board meeting and like proposes expanding what the circle is doing. She proposes doing more things and encourages it. The next scene, she's meeting with someone sympathetic, apologizing once again. And so every scene, she's in a totally different spot as to whether she's totally okay with what's going on in this story or whether she's not okay with it. In which case, we have no idea what her motives are, what her objective is. So as we go through the story, we're not sure if we're rooting for her or not rooting for her. And then in the third act, it tries to kind of give justice to some things. It tries to tear down the bad guys in a certain sense. But I saw the movie 2 days ago. I don't really know even what the ramifications of the end of the movie were, what it was trying to say about her, where she was at. Like, that's how unclear this movie's messaging and plot is as to how things kind of unfold in the story. Because the movie it can't commit to its story. Now, I haven't read the book, but my wife did, and we talked extensively about it. And apparently the book commits a little bit more on where Emma Watson's character ends up in the end. It's a little bit more clear. It didn't sound like it was actually better. It just sounded like it committed a little bit more to where it was kind of going with some of the story elements. Whereas in the movie, it's like it didn't know what it wanted to do. If it wanted to make a point, if it wanted to have justice, it seemed like it tried to mix all of them a little bit, and it was really unclear and unsatisfying after a movie that built up to nothing, that tried to teach me a lesson that I already knew because I'm not stupid, that tried to teach me a lesson that I already knew because it uses it to build the tension within the movie. So everything about this movie just kind of fails. It does not work. It's not thrilling. It will just make you mad as you're watching it because it's so you watch it in the world that they've built. It's not like you view these guys as the bad guys and this is the good guys. It's like you hate everybody in this world. You think everybody's to blame for what's happening because they're all encouraging all the absurdity. Everyone's okay with it, kind of the way the story unfolds. And that's a big problem when you're telling a story like this. You can't have everybody be okay with everything. So all in all, it fails to explore these ideas. It fails to have a message. It fails to have a theme. It's just stuff happening that's like crappy 1984 for the 21st century. It can't even commit to its ideas. It can't commit to where it's taking our characters. It's very unclear, but the actors are kind of pleasant to see on screen. And there's some cool visuals. That's about it. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. It's really bad. And I did not enjoy it. Most movies I'm fine. Even if I don't like them, I could rewatch them again. This one, I have a vested interest in wanting to watch it again with my wife, who couldn't see it with me in the theater, in which case we could talk about it because we would both hate on it. I won't do that. I don't want to watch this movie again, even have a great conversation with my wife trashing it, and it would be a good one. It's just not worth it to me. It was very frustrating just watching it like it's the type of movie as I'm watching it, I kept going, oh. Like, just simply because this movie does not understand how people work, how people react to things. It does not understand where the society is at in understanding in their cynicism towards big corporations and the spread of information and where the lines are at. The movie doesn't know, and so it feels like someone out of touch and a bunch of out of touch actors trying to tell a relevant story and failing miserably. If I'm being honest, this is so bad. It is unbelievably boring and infuriating, and it sucks. I put up a rant in one of my other videos, and I ranted even more out of it right after I got out of the theater. Don't see it. Don't give it your money. And don't torrent it or anything else like that, because you lose your life. And when you lose your life, you can't get that back. You can get $8 back. You can get $10 back. You cannot get 2 hours of your life back. And you cannot get the mental energy that you will put into this movie and the emotions that you will feel afterwards as you become angry and furious and scream at the screen and scream at the camera like I'm doing right now. You can't get that back. And this movie will take that from you. A piece of your soul, a piece of the timeline that is your life will be dedicated to this garbage, and then it's gone. And I don't want that for you. But how about you? Did you like this movie? If you liked this movie, please tell me in the comments section. I would love to hear a defense of this movie in the comments section. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Let's have a great conversation about this piece of crap. With all that said, if you're new to my channel, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I do movie reviews, talk about some TV shows from time to time, sometimes some movie news, some movie reactions, and I got this thing called Masters of Movie Trivia. I've got a new episode coming up within the week. It's a third episode called Redemption. The 6 losers from the first 2 episodes compete to see if one of them can gain redemption. So that's coming up very shortly, and as always, thank you for watching.